Welcome back once again. So this is where we left in the last video and looks fine. So what I can do, I can close this down, close this one. And now we can start working on the footer before we start working on the hero section. So come back here in the footer and this is what we're going to work next. So open up your terminal and let's start the application. So type npm run dev. This will start the application. Now come back to the browser, click here and here you can see our application is working fine. You can simply click and connect the wallet. Just give the password, unlock, and just wait. And here we are connected with the application. So far things are looking pretty good. Now let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So let's start working on the footer component. So we'll go a little faster here because this is just a JSX we're going to write. So we can come back here. Let's give the classes. So we'll say footer. So let's add a style. We're going to have a background image. So let's say style. It will say background image, and we already have the image in the public folder. So we'll say URL and let's provide the path of the image. So the image is inside the assets slash image slash footer dash background, and it's a PNG image. There it is. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call 12 wo, and we'll have this animation fade in up. Inside that, let's add the duration and delay as well. So let's call this one data wo duration, and it's going to have close to 3 seconds. Then we'll have a data wo. It's going to be have, let's say, 0.2 second. Let's get into this div. Now we'll take a div. It will have a class, we'll call it top. Inside the div we'll take a div. It will have a class called logo. In that I will going to display the image. So there is a logo, we have png, there it is. Now we're gonna simply come out of this div and let's take anchor. It will have a class called button one, and we have to give our text. So get in touch, there it is. Looks good. Now we can come back here, lift three divs and come down. Let's take a div. It will have a class row justify content between. Then we'll take a div. It will have a class call large 2, call medium 6, and we'll have a wo fade in up. It will have the duration, so we'll say duration, and we'll say 0.3 second, and we'll have a delay. So data wo delay is going to be like 3 seconds. So that's the animation we have. Let's open this up. Let's take a div. It will have a class called footer box. Inside that we're going to have this h4, have a class called last head. In that we'll say company. Then we can come back here, we'll take a UL and we're going to simply render the menus. So let's take a class called footer link. Inside that we'll take a li. Inside that we'll take an anchor, and we'll have the call about us. And let's take this dynamic block and we could simply render it. So let's take an array and we'll say about us, then we'll call it contact us blog affiliate, and the last one, let's keep it 4, and we have to simply render it. So we'll take map item index. It's going to be an instant return, cut and paste here, and change this key and change this one to item. So there we have all the list. So this is the very first section of our menu. Now we can simply do one thing. Looks good. Now we can simply leave this to div, and this is the one we have. So simply copy this one because we're going to have 3 sections. So copy, paste here, and we can do the changes only in the title and the array. So change this duration to 4. This will be support, and we have to change this menu. So it's gonna be FAQ. This will be contact time. This will be how it work, and the last one will call it something like details. There it is. We got that. Now we're going to simply have one more time. So simply copy and we can paste here, and let's change this to 5. This will be call call policy, and this will be term and term of use. This will be privacy policy, refund policy, and we'll have a money type. There it is. We have all the list of menus. So this is the 3 section we have. Now we can simply copy and paste, and here we go to do the changes. So we're going to change this to news letter, and we're not going to have this UL. We're going to simply remove this one, and we're going to have this form, and let's take a div. It will have a class, call it form group, and inside that we'll take this input, changes to email. We'll say placeholder enter email address. Now we can tick at the button, type is going to be submit. We'll take this button 1. Inside that we can say join now. So you can see there is a button down below. Now this looks good. I'll simply do one thing. I'm going to close this one, and here I'm going to display the icons. So let's display that. We'll take a div. It will have a class called social style. Inside that we're gonna take the anchor, and here I'm going to assign the classes. So we'll take this icon, we'll say fab Facebook. So simply replicate this couple of times, and all you have to do is to change this icon. So this is Facebook. Down below you can see the icon is not displaying, but you can see the box, it's not displaying. So what I'm going to do is, let's build the structure. We're going to use the React icons instead of going with this font awesome icon. We're going to do the changes. So let's change the name for time being to see what we have to replace with. So this will be called Pinterest, and this will be called Google Plus, and the last one is going to be Instagram. So these are the icon we have to attach. So just keep it as it is for time being. Now we can simply do one thing, come back here and let's work on the copyright. We'll take a div, it will have a class called row. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class, let's call it call 12 text center wo fade in up. Inside that, so we already have the duration and delay. Copy this one, and that's where we can simply apply it. And I want to have this to 4. Inside this div we can take a div, it will have a class called footer button, and inside the div we will take a p tag, and it will have a class called text. We'll say copyright, and we'll give this copy HTML copyright tag, and we'll say take anchor, we'll say the blockchain coder. That's the first, and I can also display that. So we'll say blockchain coder. There is, you can see down below we have that. Now let's add one more, and I can display the date. So let's call this 2024. There it is, looks pretty fine. If I make on the big screen, you can see that there it is. So we have the copyright, blockchain coder developer, and footer. So this footer is quite good, but our newsletter is not perfectly aligned. So this is the one fix we have to do, and we have to fix our icon as well, but the over effect is working fine. Come back here, and here I can see the problem. So make sure to change this to 5, and this will fix the issue. So now it will take the full space, and we have the icon, and over effect is working fine. So we're done with this section. If we come back to the React icon, go to this page, here you will find all the icons which you can utilize for the social media. So we're going to use that. Now come back here. So we are done with this entire footer component. I hope you guys have understood that how we have executed and built this particular section. Now come back here, go to the pages. So here we are in the index page, and now we have to work on the hero component. So this is the one which we're going to work on it now. So let's do one thing. Let's try to build the basic functionality. So we already have this React and all the props we have received. Now let's import few things from React: use state and use effect. Now we can come back here. Let's import the icon. So this one is coming from React icons IO 5, and in that we're going to simply take this close outline. We got the state, we got the icons. Now we can simply come back here, and here we're going to take this reset button, because we're going to have a button which user will click and it will reset all the value for the swap. So let's take that. So we're going to build this function called reset, and all we have to do is to simply reset the our functions, reset the states. So we'll say set token 1 is going to be empty, and we have to do the same thing for the token 2 as well, empty. So this is the reset button we have. Now let's make it side by side because we have to work on the JSX. So let's drag it here. Looks fine. Let me bring it. Now we're going to work on the very first section, the home section. You can click and it's opening. Beautiful. We have this button. Nice. Close this one. Now come back here. Let's take the classes. We'll call it banner. We'll have an ID. So when the user will click on the menu, it will take to that particular section because it's a single page application. So ID is going to be home. It will have a style. We're going to have a background color. So background image, we'll say UL assets /image/banner bg png. There it is. You can see the background image is displaying fine. Now looks good. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called illustration. Inside that we'll take the image and we'll have to go into the assets image, and then we have to take the banner bg1 png. There it is. Looks fine. So this is the first image we have, and let's add the class to 1, and we're going to have 3. So simply replicate this 3 times and change this 2, and this will be 2, and this will be called map, and this will be 3. So it will reflect fine on the mobile device. The other 2 images we are hiding on mobile, but it's going to be displayed on the desktop. So looks fine. So this is the first illustration section we have. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called hero area. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row, align items, center, justify content between, and inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called column excel 7 call large 6. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called banner content wo fade in up. Now it will have the data with attribute for the animation. So we'll say duration is going to be 0.5 second, and we'll have the delay as well. So we'll say data wo delay, that will also going to be this 3 second. Inside the div, let's take a h3 and we can display the class called subtitle. We'll say subtitle. It will say fast and convenient. Then we take this h1. We'll say head. It will have, we'll call it cryptocurrency exchange. Then we can come back and take a paragraph to display our short message. We'll say take this dummy one, and I'm going to simply remove this one. So this looks fine. Now we got the heading, we got the subtitles, we got the paragraph. Now we can come back here, live to div. We'll take a div. It will have a class called call excel 4 call large 6 wo, and the class we're going to apply fade in right b, and we have to set this duration. So delay is going to be 0.3, and we have to attach the duration as well. So this will call something like let's go with the 0.5 second. So that's the delay effects we're going to have. Now we're going to take this div. it will have a class called exchange. There it is. Inside that we'll take a h5. We'll have a class called head. We'll say cryptocurrency exchange. Then we can take a div. It will have a class called exchange box. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called selector. Inside that we'll take a p. It will have a class called text. Inside that we're going to say your change. Looks fine. That looks good. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called coin. Inside that we'll take a span, and we have to display the data which user will select, means the token symbol. So right now we don't have, that's why it's not displaying, but when the user will select the token, it's going to reflect the token symbol. Now we can come back here. We'll take a div. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called form group. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have a on click function, and on the on click function we have to simply open the token search component. So we'll say set open token to true, and we'll say open. Now we can come back here. We'll take an input, and here we're going to display the text, and we'll take the placeholder to be token 1 symbol, else we say select. There it is. So if the token exists, then display the symbol, otherwise we have to display the select. Let's have a class called form control, and it will have a on change function. On that we have to simply get the data which user will provide. So we'll say set input amount e.target.value. So this particular information we can pass to our functions, so it can perform the show. Looks good. Now we can come back here. Let's build the dynamic block. So we'll take this. We'll say if token 1 exists, then we have to display the data of the token 1. Otherwise, we have to display empty. So come back here, and we can take this span, close this one, and it's going to have a class. Let's call it rate. Inside that, we're going to display the data. So we'll take this template tutorial, and we'll say balance. And we already have this information called token 1 balance, because when the user will search for the address, is going to return the entire object, and this is the function we have built in the function in our context load data. And let's slice it down, because we don't want to display the entire information, entire balance. We go with the 10 character, and here we're going to display the symbol. So that's our span. It looks fine. And here we'll say hello. It's not there. It's working. Now this is the first input. Now we can come back here, and here we're going to take our reset button. So we'll say rotate, and that we're going to have our image. Let's get into the assets image, slide exchange image. There it is. And in this image we're going to simply attach our on click function, so user can click and they can reset all the value. We'll say it reset. This is the one. Good. So this is the first section. Now we can come back here, and we're going to have the similar section. So what I will do is I'm going to simply copy this one. So this is the delay for the entire, copy this one, and that's what I can simply assign down below the anchor. So here, paste here. So there we have it. Now we have to do the minor changes. So what I will do is simply change this to you get, and here we have to change this to 2. This is fine, and this will be 2, and we don't need to have this on change because we're not going to take the data from there. So we can simply remove this on change from this particular input field. We can display the amount. So this is good, and here we have to change this to, this will be 2, this will be 2, and we can simply change this to, let's select and remove this one, and it will have an on click, and on the on click we'll say set open token to true, and that's fine. This is the only change you have to do. This looks good. Now we can simply come back here and we can have our button for exchange. It will have an on click function and we'll say swap. This is the function we have built, which we're going to attach it. Let's have a class called button one. There it is. And let's display the text called exchange. And this is the entire component we have to work. Let's make on the big screen, and there it is. You can see the animation is also working fine. It's pretty beautiful on the full screen. You load the page and there it is. You can click and it will open it. So if I click on this, it will open our token component, which we have to work. So looks good to me. Click on that. We can connect with our MetaMask. Now we have to work on the feature component. So come back here in the code, gun back. Simply close this one, go back to the feature. So this is the hero. Okay, come back to the feature, close this hero, close this index, and now we're going to start working on it. So this one is going to be the static component only. So let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. And this one is going to be only the JSX. We're going to write it here. So let's write it very quickly. So we'll have a class called feature, and we'll have an ID called how it works. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row, justify content center. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called column 12 text center, row fed in up. We'll have the data for the duration and delay. So we'll say duration is going to be 0.3 seconds, and we're going to have the delay quite similar, same time, like 0.3 second. Inside the div we'll take a div. It will have a class section head. Inside that we'll take a h4. It will have a class called list head. We'll say how does it works. There it is. We'll come down here, we'll take h2. It will have a title. Inside that we'll say it's really easy. Then we can take this paragraph. It will have a text. Inside that we can display the dummy text. So let's call this it's easier than you think. Follow 3 easy steps. So this is our title and description. Now we can come back here and let's work on the copy, the 3 steps which we have to display. Let's take a div. It will have a class called call excel 4, call large 6, text center O, and we'll say fade in up, and we have to set the delay and duration. So copy and paste here. Change the timing. Let's have the same time in 3 seconds. Looks good. We'll take a div. It will have a class called feature box. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called thumb. In that we'll display the image. Get into the assets image slash feature icon 1 png. There it is. Now we can simply come back here. We'll take a p and it will have a class called text. Inside that we can display you choose the currency, and let's add the break, and then we can display the payment method. There it is. Looks fine. Now this is the first step. Now what I'm going to do is come back here. Let's take another div. It will have a class, and we already have this structure. So let's copy this one and replace it. We have to do the changes. This looks fine. Don't need to do any changes, but we can come back here, and this is the image we have. Close this one, copy and paste here, and we can change this text. This will be called pass account. This will be called verification, and this is the image too. Looks good. Now we can come back here. We can simply close this one, and copy and replicate one more time. And all we have to do is to change the image, and we have to change the text to this will call receive, and this will call cryptocurrency. So this is the 3 section we have. Let's make on the big screen, and this looks fine. This is the feature component and the 3 section we have. Now we have to work on the platform. So come back here, click on this, go back to the component, and we have to look for the platform. So there it is, and this is what we're going to work next. So close this one. Let's make it side by side on the big screen. and looks good. It's responsive. So now we have to work on the platform, and it's going to be a quite small component, so we're going to do it very quickly. So let's take the class called platform. It will have an ID called about. Change this to div. It will have a class called bg. It will have an image at the background. So we have to get into the assets, image, and we'll say platform.png. Okay, the image is not reflecting, so I can come back here and let's see. Go to the public. Inside the public, we have this assets. Open that one. Inside that, we have the image, and there we have all the images. So let's see what exactly went wrong. So let's remove this one. Remove this one because it's going to come from the same location. So still it's not working. So I can come back here in the platform, and I can see that so I can see maybe the spelling is missing. Yes, the spelling is mistake. So I have to change this platform FROM. There is it. The image is displaying fine. Now the image is ready. Now we can simply come back here, like take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call 12. In that we'll take a div. It will have a class called content. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row justify content center. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call large 9 text center. We'll have a fade in up, and we have to set the duration and data delay. So duration is going to be 3 seconds, and we have to add the delay as well. So this will be going to be the same 3 seconds, 0.3 seconds. Looks good. Inside that we'll take a let's say div. It will have a class. We'll say section head. Inside that we'll take a h4. It will have a class called last head, and we can display about us. Then we can simply come back here. We can take a h2 and we can say class title. This will be the online cryptocurrency exchange platform. Then we can come here, take the paragraph. We'll say text. We'll take the dummy text and let's make it short. It's quite big, so I can reduce some of the text. So looks good. Now if I make on the big screen, okay, this is fine, but somehow the alignment of the main div is not working, so the image is not making. And finally I found the problem. So like we have to do the changes. This image is fine, and here we have to do the changes. It's a platform FROM, not FORM. Save it, and that looks good. The image is behind, and now we have this banner, and we have this information. Looks absolutely incredible. So looks good. I hope you guys are following exactly the same thing. Now we have to work on the statistics. So come back. Let's have a look one more time. Finally, it's good. Close this one. And we can go back to the statistics. Click. Close this one. Close this one. And now we have to work on the statistics. So let's make it side by side. Click here. Drag it on the right hand side. Now we can start work on the next component. So this is good. Let's take the class called statistics. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row. In that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call large 3, call small 6, whoa, fade in up. It will have the data duration, and this will have like 3 seconds. We'll have to add the delay, and delay is going to be the similar timing, so 0.3 second. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called platform box text center. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called icon, and in that we have to display the image. So we'll say assets. We have our offer icon 1. Now we have to come back here. We can display our paragraph. We'll say extra fast. Let's add the break transaction. Come back here and let's take a div. It will have a class. So we're going to have the similar structure. So simply copy this one and paste it. Don't need to do any changes. Let's make this to 4. That's the only thing, because the first section will load, then the second section will load after 1 second. Now we have to get this entire one. So copy this one, and that's all we need. All we have to do is to change the timing, and we have to change the images, and we have to change the data. So this will be called secure transaction. Close this one and copy and paste here, and this will be 3. Let's change this to no limits on exchange. That's what we have, and change this to 5. So this is our exchange rate. Now close this one and paste here and change this to 6, and here we have to change this to 4 and change the text to we have the best exchange rate. So we have all of that, looks fine. So these are the 4 sections we have. You can simply do this in the form of array, but I'm just going a little faster. You can do this in more elegant way. You can create an array of object. There you can define all these icons, image and data. You can render it, but I'm just simply copy and pasting because I have to just change the data. You have multiple options to simply render the component. Now come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class column 12. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called content. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a bg pic. In that we'll take the image. We'll go to the statistics, background, png. So somehow this is not displaying. Actually we are displaying this on the big screen, not on the mobile screen. So come back here, and if I go to this image, so this is the one which we are using. So play, copy this and paste here, but this image will only display on the big screen, not on the mobile screen. So it's fine. It's fine. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. We'll say section head text center wo fade in up, and we have to set the duration copy, and that's what we can paste here. Looks good. Change this to 3. Now inside the div we have to display the h4. It will have the class called last head. We'll say our stats say more than any word. Then we can simply come back here. We'll take a h2 and we'll say title today stats. There it is. Take the paragraph. It will have a class called text, and we have this one. So let's reduce down to few lines. That's good. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called row justify content center. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call excel 4, call large 6, and we have to add the fade in up, and we have to add the delay and the duration. Simply copy this one and paste here. So this will be, let's call it, yeah, 3 looks good. Now we can come back here and we'll take a div. It will have a class called stats box XX. Okay, inside that we have to take a div. It will have a class called icon. Inside that we'll take the image. So we'll have this assets image slash stats statistics icon 1 png, and you can take a div. It will have a class, and let's add the class called stats content. Inside that we can take h3. We'll have the class called subtitle. Inside that we'll take a paragraph. We'll call it text transaction made, and this is the first section we have. Now we have to simply replicate, and we're going to have a couple of the section. So what I can do is I can say this row then we have this animation. So close this one, and this is the one I need. Copy and paste here and paste here. We have to paste two time, because altogether we're going to have 3 section. There it is. Now let's make the changes in the data. So this will be 5. Change this to like 12 minutes, and this will call it average processing time. This is the third, and let's make the changes here as well. This one is 4, and what we should call it, so we'll say ETH BCH, and this will call today's champion pair. There it is. Looks good. Now if I make on the big screen, so like this looks good. Like we have this 4 section, then we have this box section which has some internal component. If I make on the big screen, and there you can see it looks absolutely beautiful. And here we have all the sections. So today's stats, we have all this box. This text looks also fine, and we have a good session, and the image is also working fine at the background. So this one is good. Let's check the responsiveness. So it's 100% responsive for different screen sizes as well. So you can see this is stats. You can simply make it small, make it big, and all of things are looking good. Now I can come back here, and this is fine. Just close this one. Now we have to simply work on the next component, the security. So this is the only 2 components are left. So come back here, go back to the security, and let's start working on it. Let's make it side by side and drag it here. That's good. Start working on this. So first thing we have to do is we have to assign the classes. So let's call this security. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called icon1, and this will be the image. So we'll say asset/image. We'll say security vector1 png, and we have to simply replicate this and change this to 2. This will be 2, and this 2 images. Now we can simply come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called row justify content center. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called call large 10 text center fade in up, and we have to add the duration and delay. So we'll say duration is going to be like 0.3 seconds, and we have to delay. So delay is also going to be 0.3 second or 2 second. 2 second. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called section head. In that, we'll take the s4. We'll say last head. It will have this secure exchange. Then we can come back here. Let's take a h2. This will call class title. Inside that, we'll say security and compliance. Good. Now we can take a paragraph. It will have a class called text. Inside that, we're going to display our text. So remove this one, and there it is. Now we can come back here, and we'll take a div. It will have a class called box. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called row justify content center. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class. Let's call this call xl4, call large 6, and we're going to have the animation class called fade up, and we have to add this to delay and duration. Copy and paste here, and inside the div, we're going to take the div. It will have a class called security box 1. Inside that, we're going to take this icon. Inside that, we'll take the image, get rid of the assets. We'll say security icon 1. There it is. We'll take a div. It will have a class called content. We have a h5. We'll say cont head. Inside that, we can take this test message 3D security or secure, you can type. We'll take a paragraph, it will have a text, and we can take this transaction security. Looks good. This is the first section we have, and we're going to have the similar section. So what I can do is, we already have this section, so let's try to replicate it. So let me have a look. This is the main div we have. Simply copy this one and paste here, and paste one more time, and we have to do the changes in the text. So text and the image. So we have this 3. Let's come back here. This will be 4, this will be 2, and this will be called pick dog, pick dash, and this will be security standard. Close this one, and this one is the third one, and we have to change the image. So this will be 3, and change the duration and delay is going to be a 5. This will be called 2FA, and this will be 2-step verifications. That's good. So this is the component. Let's make on the big screen, and there it is. You can see how beautiful it's coming, and we have the 2 images with the animations. Also looks perfect. So the animation is taking place here. We have that one, so this one is good. Now we have to work on the testimonial section. So this is also going to be a beautiful component which we'll design very quickly. So let's come back here, let's go back here, close this one, and come back to the testimonial section, and this is what we have to work. So make on the big screen side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. And that's the last component, last 2 components we have. So this is the testimonial. After that, we're going to work on the token component. So come back here, let's remove this one. Let's call this section, let's have a class called testimonial. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called row justify content center. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call large 5 text center wo. Fair enough. And we have to add the 2 attributes. So duration is going to be, let's say we are adding this 3, and delay is going to be like 0.3 seconds. Inside that we're going to take a div. It will have a class called section head h4. Class is going to be last head. Inside that we'll say testimonial, and we can come here, we'll take h2. Class is going to be title. Don't just take our words for it. And then we can take our paragraph, and it will have a text class, and we have to display our dummy text. So I'm going to simply remove few lines from here. There it is. It's good. Now we can simply come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called row. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called call large 12 wo fed in up, and we have to add the 2 attributes. So we can copy, and that's what we can paste here, and we can change the timing to 4 seconds. Let's call it 5. Come back here, let's take a div. It will have a class called about testimonial. Inside that we can take the image, get into the image folder. From there we can get the world map png. Now we can simply come back here and come here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called client1, and altogether we're going to have 6 component of the client. So we have 2 methods which you can follow to render the component. One, you can do it at the form of array. So you can create an array, you will have all the data, and you can simply render. But I'm going with a different approach, so I'll leave that as an open option. So you can go with this approach which I'm going, or you can just simply render with the array. So let's build this particular one. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called image1. The style is going to be image, background image, and we have to simply get the first client image. So the images are in the assets image, and we have to get this testimonial 1. So the image is not reflecting. Okay, let's come back, take a div. It will have an id called my popover class pop over, pop over default, my pop over. Inside the div, we'll take the div, it will have a class. Let's call this client review. And in that, we're going to take a div, it will have a class called stars. Inside that, we have to display the icons. So, like, we'll take a class, we'll call it for star. So we're going to display the React icon. So short while I'm going to do the changes. So let's display 5 icons. So I'm going to simply take an array and I have to simply render it. So we'll say item, index, and we have to make it inserted. Copy, cut, and paste inside that. So it will display our 5 icons. Now we can come back here. We'll take a paragraph. It will say bottom text. Then we have a dummy text. And I want to remove few lines from here. So if I click and over, you can see it's pop-up working absolutely fine. So on the over effect, it's going to trigger. Absolutely beautiful. Now this is the section we have. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called client info. Inside that we'll take a h4. It will have a class called name. Inside that we'll take this called floor, means the client name you can give. I'll give this one, and let's give the paragraph, it will be position, and the position he holds its founder and CEO. There it is, beautiful pop-up model we have. So this is the first section, and somehow the image is not working, so let me have a look. So this is the one section, this is working absolutely fine, and here I have to do the changes. So it's a testimony. It's a 1. Okay, sorry, my bad, it's a 1. Now the image is displaying fine. Got it? I hope you guys can appreciate that how things are coming together. So this is the very first section, and we're going to have 6 of them. So close this one, and we have to replicate 6 times. So simply replicate it quickly. So I have this 6 time. Now we have to do the minor changes in the classes and the images. So this is the one I have. So let's close this one, close all the component, and let's change the classes to one by one. So this one is going to be, let's call it 2. This will be 3. This will be 4. This will be 5. This will be 6. And here we have to do the changes in the image as well. So this will be 2. And here we have to make the changes as well. Okay, I have this extra one, so let me remove this one and save it. Now get back here. We have to change the images, and we have to change the ID as well, because we have to open that specific component for the client. So here we have the ID. So like you can see right now it's opening only one component, but we have to change the ID. So we can see, so we have the name, image, and this looks fine. The images I have changed, and here I have to assign this pop-up 2. So this is the change you have to do, and the rest would be fine. You can simply replace the data, but I will go with the same data. Let's do the same thing with the third one. Change this to 3, and this will be 3. Close, open. This will be 4, 4, and here we have this 4, 4. Close this one, and this one is 6, 6. Now you can over, and you can see all these components are opening fine. Let's make on the big screen, and there it is. So we have the world map icons, and you can simply over on it. It will open that specific component. Beautiful. Now I can come back to the React icons, and let's change the icon. So we are not using font awesome. So what I'm going to go here, and let's search for star. Just wait, and let's find it out. So this time I'll go with this particular icon, or I can go with this one. Copy this entire section. Now come back to the code, and we have to simply paste here. Copy this one, and that's what we can simply replace here. So we can come back here where we have the icons, paste, and save it. The moment you will do that, and it will simply do the changes. So let's change this to and save it. Let's do it to all the component. Let's do on the 4th one. Let's do on the 5th one, and this is the 6th one. Now if I come back here, You can see the stars is displaying. Okay, we have to remove the classes as well, but our stars is displaying. So what I can do, I can come back here and I can simply remove the classes, remove this one. The moment you will do, it will work fine. So this is the one. You can see our stars are looking fine. So this is what we have to do. We have to quickly remove in all the places. Let's replace this one, and here we have to do the changes, make the changes here as well, make the changes here as well, and here you have to do the changes. Save it, and that looks fine. Got it? Now you can come back here and you can check the stars are displaying absolutely fine. You can simply replace the data with the actual client data. So this looks pretty fine. We have all of these sections working absolutely beautiful, and the section looks beautiful, and everything is good. The animation, the hardcode data looks good. If you check the responsiveness, this is also responsive. You can click and you can simply connect. There it is. Okay, now you can open this particular token component, and that's what we have to work next. So we are done with this. Come back here, close this one, and now we have to work on the token component. So we have to go into this particular one. So like this is the token where we're going to simply fetch the information about the token. So let's come back here. Here we have all of this token. So simply copy this entire one, get rid of the token, and we have to simply receive that as a prop. And we have to simply change this, remove this one, it's good. So we have received the props. Now let's try to build the functionality very quickly. So first thing, we have to receive few things from React: use effect, use state. Then we can come back here. Let's do the internal import. We need our context. So that's coming from user/utils short address, because we have to display the address in a format. Then we have to simply call this state variable, and let's define that. So first thing is going to be the search token. So the user will provide the address, and we have to search the information of the token. So this will be the search token, and then we're going to have the display token. Then we can come back here and let's try to call the function. So token load function. So we'll take this use effect, and in that we're going to create an internal function. So let's call this cons load token. It's gonna be an async function. Inside that we're going to take this variable called token await, and we already have the function called load token data. In that we can simply pass the search token. So when we'll pass, it's going to return us the information about the token. Then we have to simply check for a condition. We'll say token is equal to undefined. Then we have to simply display the notification message: token address is missing. Else we can simply update this data to the set display token, and we'll call it token. Got it? And we have to call this function whenever there is a change in the search token. So let's call this particular function, and let's call this function over and over whenever the user provide the search token address. So this will simply return the data about the token and the function we have built. Now we can come back here for the select token. So come back here, let's call this select token. It's going to simply check for the data. We'll say if token 1 is equal to undefined, then we have to simply set that to display token. Means when there is no data available in the token 1, then we have to update that to display token, and we have to simply close the component. Else if the data is available, then we have to simply set the token data to the token data 2, and we have to close the component. Okay, this is the simple logic we have built. We are simply updating the data with the same function in two different state. Now this looks good. Let's make it side by side and let's start working on the JSX. So here I'm getting this particular error. Okay, so this looks fine. The function is here. If you go back here, we are receiving the function, also good. We are receiving the function in the context. If I go back to the context, so this is fine. And if I go to the context here you can see we already have this particular function which we have passed down. And if I see, this is the exact name I have given, but why I'm getting this particular error? So if I come back here, this looks fine, and that's what I have sent here. So like the spellings are good, and here is also the same thing. Okay, so this is fine. And oh, okay, I can see the problem, so I have to wrap in an object. So let's give that one, remove this and paste this one. Now it will work fine, so we have no issue. Select. Now the error is gone. Got it? You can see the token component is open. Now we can start working on it. So we'll take a class banner. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called hero. Area. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called container. Inside that, we'll take a div. We'll say raw, align item, center, justify, content, between. Inside that, we can take a div. It will have a class called call excel 4, call large 6, and we'll have this new width. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called exchange. Then we have to take this h5 and we have to display our sort title. We'll say x head is going to be cryptocurrency token. Then we can simply come here and we'll take a div. It will have a class called exchange box. Inside that, we're going to take a div. It will have a class called selector. Inside that, we'll take a p. It will have a text. We'll say search token address. Then we can simply come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class icon. Inside that, we'll take a span. In that, we can take display symbol. Then we can come back here. We'll take a, let's say, div. It will have a internal div and we'll have a class called form group. Inside that, we can take our input and we can simply get the text. It will have an onChange function, and this information we can pass to our search token. So we'll say search token e.target.value. There it is. Now we can come back. Let's have a class called form control. It's making a little short. Then we can have a placeholder, so we can display the token information address. Else we can say search. Let's comment this one so it will take the full width. Now we have this one. Let's come back here and let's build the button. So we'll take this dynamic one. So we'll say display token else nothing. So if we have the information about the token, then we can display and we'll allow user to select that. So let's take this anchor and we'll say on click, and on the on click function we have to simply call the function we have built called search token. It will have a class called button. We'll say button1. Inside that, we can display the short address. We'll display the address of the token. Then we have to display the symbol, and that's it. So this is our dynamic component. So it looks absolutely fine. So with that, we are done with all the component and the functionality. Now it's time to test this out. So if I bring it back, it's making a shot, but if I close it, let's close it for a time being. And our notification model is also working fine. Let's make on the big screen and let's try to check this out. So if I reload the page, if I click, it will open. Let me select that. Here is the notification component is working fine. I can pass the address and it's going to give me the relevant information. So this also looks pretty good. If I come back here, click on this connect, reload the page, connect, that's good. And you can simply click and you can simply check all that. So everything is working fine. We are done with all the component and the functionality. Now it's time to test this out. So let me have a quick look over one more time that things are looking good. Okay, so this is good. Everything's good. Close this one. Come back here. Close this one. This is fine. All the context work fine. And this is the index page. Close this one. Close this one. Close this one. Close this one. And this is the configuration. And now we're going to work and test this in the ForkNet. So this is what we're going to work next. So all of this are looking absolutely great. Don't need to do anything else. So like we have built all of the component and these tokens are there. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. With that, let's move to the next video, and that we're going to do the final testing of our application, and we're going to fix some minor bugs. This is the context. Like all of these functions are fine. This connect wallet, load token, then we have the get pool, we have the swap options, build trade. This is the address we're going to use it. This is the swap functionality we have, and this is all the function we have imported from here. And that's all the testing we're going to do right up here in the next video.